Is envy a good emotion? It's actually the same emotion as inspiration. Hello and welcome back to today's video. In today's video I want to specifically talk about envy, but I also want to briefly touch on jealousy because it kind of get used interchangeably today, even though they do not actually mean the same thing. Envy is about wanting what someone else has, and jealousy is about not wanting someone else having the same thing as you have. Envy basically is a feeling that you desire something that someone else has. It could be a car, it could be a relationship, it could be an income, a career, whatever. Jealousy, on the other hand, is about having something and being overprotective about it and not wanting that thing to be taken away from you. For example, you're in a relationship and you're jealous by the attention that your partner gets from someone else because you're not the main focus anymore. You have a car, people constantly come to you and they're like, oh, I want a car too, it's amazing. And you're feeling very jealous because you want to be the only one who has that car. So that's the difference between envy and jealousy. To understand that better, I want to explain where envy comes from, like how does it show up and what is the cause of it. So envy can come with a lot of emotions like frustration, anger, sadness, helplessness. The cause of it basically is because you desire something that someone else has, but you feel like you can't have it yourself. And this is why it's actually the same emotion as inspiration, because in both cases it's about wanting something for yourself. But with inspiration you feel excited, you're like, oh, I really want that and I'm gonna go after it, I'm gonna do what I need to do. Versus with envy, it's about, oh, I really want that, but I feel like I can't have it. The reason that you feel like you can't have it 99% of the time, it's a limiting belief. It's like, oh, I can't have it because I don't have the money, or I can't have it because I don't have the skills, or because I don't have the looks. An emotion that we experience, it's nothing else but our subconscious mind trying to talk to us and giving us clues through emotions. So in the case of envy, it's like our subconscious mind telling us, oh, there's something that I want, that I desire, but there's something blocking me to get there. So compared to inspiration, with envy, we need to take an extra step. We need to figure out, okay, what's the blockage and how do I overcome the blockage? And then I can get to the things that I desire. Versus with inspiration, it's like the blockage isn't there, like there's nothing stopping you from getting what you want. In order to actually work with envy and use it to your advantage, there are like two things that you need to do. You gotta figure out what it is you want, and you gotta figure out what the blockage is. What I mean by you gotta figure out what you want, it isn't always the thing that you look at that you actually want. So I'm going to give you an example with a car. You can see a person driving around with their car all day long and you're like, oh, I really want that car for myself. And there's this feeling of envy because you feel like you can't have it because you don't have the money or whatever. But if you dig a little deeper, you actually realize it's not the car that you want. It's actually what the car represents, the emotion that the car will give you. One way to understand if the thing that you are envious about is what you actually want is imagining yourself already having it. So you can imagine yourself already having that car, driving around with it, and do you feel great about it or not? If you're like, now that I have the car, I'm not really feeling it. It's not about the car, it is about what the car represents. Ask yourself, like, what is it that I really want from that car? And for example, it could be the freedom because you see that person in the car all day long and it gives you the feeling of, oh, they have a lot of free time and they can schedule their time like they want. But this is like the first step, understanding what it is that you really want from the thing that you feel envious about. And the next step is about, why do I feel like I can't have it? Once you figured out that part, like, okay, what is it that is stopping me? Is it a limiting belief, or is it something physical that I can actually work on? It's like, is there like an in-between step that I need to take in order to get what I want? For example, saving up money so I can buy it. And then it's about go and get it. And you will realize that once you are on the path of getting what you want, and you don't feel like you can't have it anymore, you're gonna feel inspired by it, you're gonna feel happy about it, you're gonna feel excited by it, and you're not gonna feel envy anymore about that other person. If you still encounter that person or that thing and you still feel envy, it's just the underlying old emotion coming up of, oh, I can't have it. And you just got to remember yourself, oh yes, I can, I'm working towards it, even if I can't have it in that moment. Lastly, I want to give you a personal example of myself when I felt envious towards someone else. The example that I want to share with you is about a friend. It's about a woman in my life that I really look up to. She has her own business, and I was always like super inspired by what she does and how she does it. Like, she's very creative, she's a hypnotherapist, and whenever she posts on Instagram, I'm like blown away by what she does. It's just so beautiful and amazing. But at the same time, especially at the beginning, I couldn't help but notice how envious I felt about her and how bad it made me feel to see her success. Like, it wasn't that I was jealous. I wasn't like, oh, I don't want her to have that success, but it really was the feeling of, I so desperately want it for myself, and I always felt like I can't have it. So I was wondering, why do I always feel that way about her? Like, what is it that makes me feel so envious towards her? So I kept exploring that emotion, and all of a sudden I asked myself, if I was doing what she was doing, if I would be a hypnotherapist, if I would do the Instagram post the way she does it, if I would do the podcast, if I would be doing all the things that she's doing, would I like it? And the answer immediately was no. Like, the idea of being a hypnotherapist wasn't appealing to me at all, like not even in the slightest. So the next thing was, I was like super confused. I was like, why do I feel about her that way, or about the things that she does that way, if it's not what I want? So I kept exploring. I was like, okay, what is it that I'm feeling envious about? What is it that gives me that feeling of total failure, of frustration, of I can't even look at her posts because they make me feel so bad about myself? And I literally came to the point where I was like, oh, it's her lifestyle. It's not what she does, it's how she does it that is what I want, and I'm so inspired by it, but also feel so frustrated by it because, as I mentioned in the last video, I never found a way to create that beautiful thing for myself. Once I realized that, it kind of all went away. I was able to look at her and be happy for her and be like, okay, this is the feeling that I want. So how can I start working towards a lifestyle that feels that way to me? And it really was about finding my individuality in that process. Like, okay, taking what she does as an inspiration and starting to figure out what is blocking me. Okay, it's the feeling of like I can't have it because I don't have the thing that I'm passionate about. It's the feeling that I can't have it because whatever. And I worked through each limiting belief and through each emotion and overcame that. Like, is it true that I don't have the passion? No, it's not. I just haven't found it yet. And then it was about starting to take steps towards it. Okay, starting the YouTube channel again because it's something that I'm passionate about and really enjoy doing. And I had the same thing with other people as well. But now I have like this approach that I can use, like, oh, I'm feeling envious. And it's not like, oh my goodness, I'm feeling envious. It's like, oh my God, I'm feeling envious because now I know my subconscious mind is telling me this is something I want, but I'm blocking myself from having it, or I'm denying myself from having it. And now I can actively work through it and overcome whatever is blocking me and take the steps to actually acquire what I desire. But not just what I believe to desire, but what I really desire. So I hope this video was helpful to you. I hope you have found a new approach when it comes to envy, you know, the difference between envy and jealousy, and how to really work around it and actually benefit from that emotion. So I'm wishing you a wonderful day and take care.